What's up, everybody? My name is Erin. Oh, hey, Mariah. Didn't expect to see you here. My name is Erin, and welcome to the Mad Maker Studio. We're playing Cooking Companions again. Natalie looks normal. Okay, I just finished editing. It's been a while since I've recorded this game, but I just finished editing all of my footage. And I want to say I desensitized myself to the horror component, but we'll find out how true that is when I go back in there. Please, Mariah, I really don't want to look at you anymore. Now, we are going to load our game from our very first save point. As much as I want to gradually see how our choices change, I think I want to start off with a fresh slate. Do you have any experience in making meals? Of course, just not the kind you might be thinking of. Is that so? Huh. Looking at you, I think you'd be good at serving up food poisoning. Also, through my editing, I've had time to reflect on what the sub-story or the backstory is of this game. And while I initially thought that the Chompettes corresponded with each of our characters in-game, I think something else happened prior to our four main characters coming together like this, because there was a moment where, we asked them the question, oh, people always wind up here. So there's something supernatural going along that way. We're wanderers or outcasts of society, something of that nature. They just come together. They naturally find their way to this cabin to live out their last days, presumably. But Karen, this is really bold talk for someone who was clearly terrified when they saw us for the first time at the end of the last episode. So I think you're being a little overly bold, and I want you to leave the cabin first. Let's see if we can make that happen. Right? It looks like Karen will remember that. Oh, I hope she does. Anyways, going to check out the living room. Let's talk later. Karen heads to the living room and starts dusting a little bit. Wow, that's the most work she's done since she got here. You decide to look around the kitchen to find the ingredients for the meal tonight. You never know what you'll find around the cabin. Clues and secrets may be revealed searching the area more than once. Alright, well, Amigo, I just consistently checked the drawers the other time, so let me start with the cupboards. The first few cupboards are empty. And Natalie must have put the supplies somewhere else. They just told us it was the bedroom, but we're not going to go there first when we get our chance to go somewhere. You check the cupboards again. Am I going to find secrets? Oh, great. Just some mouse turds and cobwebs. You check the cupboard underneath the sink. Aha! I found a dead mouse! This would be a great gift to give Karen. You added the dead mouse to your inventory. I would love if we could see our inventory of things that we've collected. Can I check the cupboards again? I know the Chompettes are in the drawers, but... No, I don't want to put it in the back in the cupboard. Karen's not ready for the dead mouse yet. Can I get it back? You notice the letter L engraved in the left side of the cupboard. What a fitting gravestone for the mouse. Okay, I was gonna keep checking the cupboards. Alright, now that we're getting the looping dialogue, let's look behind the woodpile. There's nothing but cobwebs back here. Thankfully, no spiders. You look at the wood logs closer. Huh. This is just a pile of Norway spruce. Can I look behind the wood pile again? The Norway spruce won't burn as hot as logs from an oak tree. These would be useless during a snowfall. Interesting. I'm gonna keep clicking until we get the looping dialogue. You reconsider your views on Norway spruce. It's less dense and won't fill the cabin with a heavy smell. The supplies aren't anywhere near here. Okay. Alright, the drawers. You check the drawers on the left. Just some dirty knives, which we should clean. Again, we're gonna be cooking. Look, this is so unsanitary. You check the drawer above the mouse hole. Some kind of mold is growing in this one. Maybe Karen will find it appetizing, because at the beginning she said, ooh, slime molds. You check the drawer above the woodpile. Something is making it difficult to open. You pull it open with all your might.
Whee! Cabbage!
It's time! Chomp it! Sound off!
Onion!
Never fear, Onion is here.
Like my cousin Cornbread says, I'll rise to the occasion.
Raspberry!
Always merry raspberry. Yeah, so as I was saying, I initially thought like, oh, I'm potato, Karen's the raspberry. I think these are representations of people that, like, I think I'm still the potato, if I'm being honest. But I think these other 4 pieces of food are representative of characters that came to the cabin before our main cast of characters. So we're gonna have to figure out their backstory.
Oh, yeah?
Potato! Cabbage stuffed me into this drawer. I'm pretty sure this counts as kidnapping. We're the Chompettes! Why talk with those boring humans instead of the ghosts of your past?
Yes, manana!
All I have to give you is drama. Come chat with us instead. We'll share valuable recipes you could cook.
Boo boy, boo boy!
We'll share with you our secret Chompette recipes.
Easy!
Collect them all to become a 5-star chef. Okay, tutorial. You can find unlocked recipes in the main menu under Extra, but be sure to save the game. To celebrate, here's your first recipe card.
Cabbage!
Roasted eggplant with sesame and pomegranate, meat-free. Also, I'm going to reread what I've already read from my first playthrough. That's just a personal preference that I like to do. You unlocked your first recipe.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever want to talk, just come to the drawer. Chompets!
Hoo-hoo!
Let's move out! Cabbage rudely slams the drawer closed. You know, I've never checked well, I guess I don't want to check now, but maybe before I log out of this video, we can go look at the recipe cards we've collected so far. You wonder if what you just saw was real. You're slightly worried about what this means for your mental state. But only slightly. Hey. Did you find the supplies? You shake your head. Oh, maybe we didn't already know where they were yet. And Natalie lied. He actually put them in the bedroom. Which makes sense of why she wants to claim a spot in the bedroom so she can have access to the emergency supplies. She's so selfish. You're so selfish and mean, Karen. I hope you leave the cabin first. That's going to be our goal for this playthrough. Idiot. Here you go. You got the emergency supplies. Oh no, now I remember. There were initial emergency supplies and then extra emergency supplies. My bad. Again, it's been a while. I've just recently finished editing everything, but it's been a while since I've recorded. Karen leaves you alone. You start a fire with some of the wood and get to work on cooking dinner. Tonight's entree, vegetable stew. In a large saucepan over medium heat, you heat some water with potatoes, carrots, and celery in it. 15 minutes later, you drain the pan and set the vegetables aside. Placing some butter in the saucepan, you melt it over medium heat. Throwing some chopped onions in, you cook it about 10 minutes. The onions are tender and translucent. Perfect. You next mix in some flour, salt, pepper, and heavy cream into the saucepan, adding the vegetables to the mixture. Hours pass.
We're back. More firewood than you'll ever need. We found some wild sorrel. Maybe tomorrow we'll have a bigger bounty.
And Natalie's burying the lead. We saw a red deer.
Mariah spotted it.
Yeah, that's great. Anyways. Killed 17 spiders today while you were out looking at deer. Yeah!
That should come as no surprise. There are over 160 species of spiders here.
160?
Don't worry, Mariah. I'm sure they were all in the bathroom or something.
No.
Almost all of them are near the couch.
Yeah! I was going to sleep on the couch. That's where 16 of them were. I'm not sleeping on that couch then.
And there's only 2 beds in the bedroom. Don't sweat it, Mariah. I could sleep anywhere, so I'll sleep in the rocking chair. I'll sleep with one eye open, just in case any of them swarm the couch.
Oh shoot, this just reminds me. When I was growing up, my family and I lived in an apartment complex. And, you know, when it was at nap time, if I did not have a blanket covering me, every single time without fail, I would wake up with a spider bite. To this day, I'm still traumatized by it. Thanks, Gregor.
Karen and Natalie, you two take the bedroom.
Thanks, big guy. Joke's on you, Gregor. I always planned on taking one of the beds. Because I'm selfish. Hey, Natalie, I snore louder than a lumberyard. Sweet dreams, chump. You turn your back to your bubbling of vegetable stew and try a bite. Looks delicious. This tastes pretty good. You cooked vegetable stew. You set the table and ask everyone to dig in.
Oh wow, this smells delicious. Thank you.
You must be a world-class chef. Karen takes a bite. It's bland as hell. Karen. Tastes like every other vegetable stew I've ever had, so generic. And you're winking at me? Or you're negging me. I don't appreciate that.
Could probably use some meat next time.
Gross.
For a side dish, we could bake some bread and utilize the Frugaria vesca, also known as strawberries, for some jam.
Nobody cares, Pipsqueak. Everyone laughs at Karen's polite ribbing, except me. Nothing makes you happier than cooking a great meal for friends. Oh, we're already friends now, are we? This could very well be the best day you've ever had. You go to bed stuffed.
Hey, you up? How'd you sleep? I was so warm last night, I didn't even need a blanket.
What time is it?
About 1 hour until dawn.
Will you two pipe down trying to sleep over here?
Yeah. Gregor, the birds outside aren't making much noise yet. We didn't bring many supplies, remember? Better to get a head start on gathering food.
I honestly can't see the trees outside right now. Gregor, did you see any spiders last night?
There was a small one in the bathroom.
Eh!
Actually, I did see a centipede by the sink.
Mariah turns a little pale.
Karen's messing with you, Mariah. Let's find more than wild sorrel today. Gah! If you're lucky, little guy, maybe I'll teach you how to catch some wild brown trout. What's with you and meat, big guy?
It's an essential form of protein. You're gonna need it for your body to function if you haven't already made the lifestyle choices of not consuming meat. And Natalie's herbalism book stated that there's many more species of plants to eat out here. Let's leave the fish alone. So it's a Natalie's book, but as we learned later on, he can't read. Who gave him the book? I feel like these are all... I don't know if they all came from the same area or town, but to me it feels like if we're following Hansel and Gretel kind of logic, that all of these people's friends, acquaintances, family, they've all sent them out in the woods to die because they're not benefiting society, I guess. There's something where I don't think they came here of their own free will. They were sent out here. If I'm remembering Hansel and Gretel correctly, I don't feel like looking it up, but when their father left them out there, he gave them the bread. So I feel like they gave them some kind of emergency supplies and sent them on their way. And if they survive or don't, it's on them. They gave them their last string of hope. So whoever was acquainted with these 4 people is what I'm trying to say, is they were sent out here to die, but they were sent with supplies so that the people who sent them to die don't feel guilty about it. That's just my guess right now. You know I'm not into meat.
That's a shame. I'd wake up early to go fishing.
Yet you're complaining about waking up early right now.
Cheer up, Karen. We'll get to observe the trout at the very least.
No, you can still catch the trout. You can still bring the trout home. Mariah doesn't have to eat it.
Maybe we'll see more red deer today.
You're also, from what I can tell, you're also going out. This is what was my issue with my first playthrough. My saltiest moments are from interacting with these 4 people who have absolutely no common sense. From what I can see, they're going out just carrying what they can with their hands. Maybe a Natalie can fit some stuff in his little shirt pocket. Does Gregor have pockets? I don't know. Mariah doesn't look like she's got pockets on her dress, which is a shame. But they're not taking any equipment, no bags, no like weapons if they're going to actually actively hunt a deer. Like, come on now.
That sounds like a waste of time, Gregor.
Haha. Maybe we'll find some blackthorn berries.
I love blackthorn berries. We'll be back later. Can you watch our stuff today?
You nod. Thank you.
Thanks. Don't steal anything, okay?
You nod. Mariah and Natalie, Gregor, and Karen leave the cabin with a hop to their step. I might believe that for the first, but not Karen. The other three, sure. Karen, no. I bet she just trudged out the door. Like, oh, this is so beneath me. You're alone, but thankfully you have a drawer of chompets to keep you company. Okay, each day you'll be asked to explore a different part of the cabin. You only get one choice and then the day will end, so choose wisely. What do you want to check out today? Okay, so this is where I'm gonna save game. I'm gonna do a fresh safety save. Yeah, you can see the last time I recorded was like in May. All right, what do you want to check out today? We already did the bedroom. The bathroom and the basement, I'm curious of, but I think what I want to do, I want to go back and talk to the Chompettes. I want to be more interactive with them this time around.
Hello.
Hello! You almost crapped yourself.
Yes, manana.
The other Chompettes are somewhere in the basement. It was just us today. So if I had gone to the basement, would I have found the other Chompettes? How about some fun cabbage facts? You shake your head. No, I want to know.
Yeah.
Great!
Cabbage, cabbage, cabbage.
Cabbage has 24 calories and 100 grams and is a great source of vitamins K and C.
Yes, manana.
Purple cabbage has even more vitamin C than green cabbage. Maybe you should ask Natalie why that is when he gets back. Globally, Russia eats the most cabbage. Pretty cool, right?
Wee, adabay.
I should have been a scholar instead of a world-class comedian. Since you've been so patient today, I will give you the Chompettes' secret recipe for Lebanese-style tabbouleh. Not your normal meal, but I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks. You're not sure. To check the recipe, go to the main menu under gallery. Be sure to save beforehand. I actually, you know what? I'm gonna save a game again. Back to game, and I wanna go... Yeah, we'll reload. I wanna look at the recipes that we went ahead and got. Extra? Oh boy. Man, I should have come in here when I was making my thumbnails. I'll remember that from now on. Oh, okay. Sorry, I got distracted by slaughter stew. Oh, it's an actual recipe and there's a picture of it. That's great. I still hate cooking, but maybe one day I'll try these. Yeah, dude, look at all these great images. I should have come here instead of trying to freeze frame things. I could have just come here for my thumbnails. Oh well, let's go back. Let's go back to our game. Okay. I checked out the gallery tutorial. That was great. I'm gonna have to go back there again.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my work here is done. Chompettes! Mosey out, even though it's just me today. Can you put me in the drawer? I have absolutely no idea how I got out of it. I want to surprise the others later. You're extremely relieved that the cabbage has stopped talking. You shut the drawer as per her request. You look over the supplies and start planning your next meal. We're back!
Knock it off, Mariah. It's pretty rare to be scared of one. It's not.
Who knew the big guy would be so scared of?
Shut up! You don't understand.
I don't think anyone understands Gregor.
It was just a marmot, Gregor, not a monster.
But no, I think Gregor's justified in his fear because it doesn't matter how big or small something is. If it comes like at you unexpectedly, you're gonna be scared of it because it's like, whoa. Mariah laughs so hard that your ears ring. Sorry, Mariah, I do not feel like scream laughing right now. Tears are rolling down Mariah's cheeks. She's laughing so hard that she's about to hyperventilate. Stop Mariah from hyperventilating? Absolutely not. One less mouth to feed, am I right?
You don't get it. It's pretty personal.
Okay, so it sounds like if we want to get that backstory, we gotta get 5 hearts with Gregor.
Then please explain, big guy.
Gregor looks incredibly uncomfortable. Let's leave him alone. We found some raspberries and elderberries near the cabin.
Quite the selection of berries. We also found more wild sorrel.
Is this going to be good enough for a meal? Or enough for a meal? Everyone is looking at you for an answer. And now that we saw that last cutscene at the end of the last video when they all came to the cabin and we first met, I now feel like they're not treating me like a leadership authority, but they are 100% threatened by me. So they're letting me make the decisions. Not because they respect me as an authority figure or think I would be the best fit, but because they feel threatened by me, except Karen. Karen is the worst. It takes you a while, but you decide on your specialty, cabbage rolls. So even though we did not go in the bedroom and get the extra emergency supplies, we are still able to make cabbage rolls. This is interesting. You first bring a large pot of water to a boil. You let the cabbage leaves boil for 2 minutes, draining the pot into the sink. In a medium mixing bowl, you combine some cooked rice, onion, and egg, salt and pepper, along with some tomato sauce. You use your hands to mix thoroughly, and decide to wash your hands after it won't come off. Figured you would wash your hands anyway, you're preparing food. Dividing the rice mixture evenly between the cabbage leaves, you then roll them up and tie a string around them so they stay in one piece. You place the cabbage rolls on a large skillet over medium heat, pouring the rest of the tomato mixture over its top. Covering it, you bring it to a boil. You reduce the heat to low and let the cabbage rolls simmer for about 40 minutes, being sure to baste it with the liquid. You cooked cabbage rolls. Mariah looks optimistic. Karen looks skeptical. And Natalie looks curious. Gregor looks thrilled. You watch intently as everyone takes the first bite. Oh shoot, you know what I just realized? Is that when we started the game, like the first time we talked to Karen and we said, oh no, we don't really like cooking, we got a heart with her. We did not get a heart with her this time. So we've got 0 relationship points with everybody right now.
That's pretty darn good. Wow, I could eat the whole batch myself. I think the vegetable stew tasted better, but I'm loving how tender the cabbage is.
The sauce is pretty red. Did you use fresh tomatoes for it?
It really adds to it. Spoon some of the liquid on top of it. You'll thank me later. Incredible. It's definitely growing on me. Thanks again for cooking. This really was something special.
Everyone leaves the dishes behind for you to do. Not happening. You settle in and go to bed. Everyone goes to bed full. So day 1, we went to bed stuffed, and now we're going to bed full. We are decreasing the amount we are eating. Now, I wonder if we're going to have the same dream. Tomorrow will be another great day.
Good morning, everyone. Again, Gregor. Can't you let us sleep in? Not today.
Why?
Storm clouds are gathering outside. We need to find some food before it begins to downpour. Gregor, you're overreacting. We have enough food to last us a while. Enough food? I thought we used most of the supplies for last night's dinner. He's right. The meal you made was delicious, but it used a lot of what we had. Gregor's also correct. Precipitation is unusually high in this area, with many areas being high risk for flooding. It'd be foolish to not go out and look for food today.
You really think it'll flood?
Thankfully, the cabin is on high ground, but that doesn't mean we're safe from floodwaters. It's always a possibility, so it can't hurt to be prepared. You're losing it, Gregor.
Karen.
There's nothing to worry about.
I think Gregor's right, Karen. Huh? It won't hurt to prepare for the worst.
I think she's right, Karen. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Natalie. Let's go out and prepare for the storm. Foraging should be a key priority today. There are plenty of edible foods that has better odds than trying to hunt. Give me a few minutes and I'll plot out our route on some paper. Let me help, little guy.
And Natalie and Gregor head to the bedroom to consult the map. Mariah and Karen are still hanging around. Unfortunately, in life, you can't make everyone happy. When given a choice to speak to a character, choose wisely. You can only select one of them. Try to max out your bond with certain characters for unique dialogue and scenarios. Which one would you like to talk to? My heart wants to go to Mariah, but should I go to Karen? Maybe understand why she's such a mean girl. Hey. This paper nailed to the wall looks pretty ancient. What were the old days like? So the first time I said, I'm not sure what you mean. I'm gonna go, so extremely brutal, not as bad as times like these. I'm gonna say extremely brutal. Oh, really? You'll have to share the details with me later. Okay. Karen will not be able to stomach your stories. But you still agree you'll tell her the details later. Karen will definitely remember that. Okay, so the first time we were in the kitchen, we got a heart. We didn't do that this time, so we got a heart this time. Our relationship is stronger. You hear a shout from the other room. Gregor and Natalie come back from their meeting. Gregor is blushing slightly.
Hey. Can you cook something while we're out?
You nod.
Thank you. All right, everyone, we have our route now. Let's beat those rain clouds.
The group leaves determined as ever. You have the cabin all to yourself. Oh, the radio. I forgot about the radio. Huh? What's that noise? It sounds like it's coming from the kitchen. Huh? Radio? What's going on with that radio? You didn't even notice it on the ground when you walked in. Did somebody leave this radio here? It looks newer than anything you've seen before. Seems to be broken. Better hold on to this. You got the strange radio. Before you cook dinner, what should you check out? Okay, so I think last time I went to the bathroom, inspect the kitchen, go into the basement. Okay, I've decided for my second playthrough to get to a second ending, I'm still not going to make much use of the safety saves, but I think by the third time around I might, go back and click and look at other things. But I kind of want to have a linear experience as I go through each ending. Let's go into the basement. Your imagination runs wild, staring at the basement door. You try opening and closing the deadbolt just in case. You mill around until the others return. Mariah's back early today. Hey. The others are still looking for food outside. And Natalie found some more berries. But nothing that will feed all of us. Please don't tell the others. But I'm a little worried about our supplies. I crunched the numbers and we don't have enough food, even with rationing, to last if there's a big storm and we get stuck here. Mariah seems disappointed in your inventory management. Excuse you? Can you try cooking with a little less this evening? You nod. Thank you. You've done such a great job with meals so far. You're very sweet. Is Mariah blushing a little bit? Hey. Mariah will remember that. Did our relationship grow stronger? Okay, cool. Maybe you can teach me to cook sometime? You nod. Looking forward to it. Hey, you could hold cooking classes here someday. Rudely interrupting a tender moment, the others burst into the cabin.
Don't be so down, everyone. We got tons of good berries.
Tch. Jam is so bland without any sugar. Do you have any sugar? You shake your head sadly.
Yikes. Turn that frown upside down, Karen. Who knows what tomorrow will bring?
I'm not smiling for you, Gregor.
You missed out. The sunset was really tremendous on our way back. Hues of orange, red, even a little purple poking out.
Red sky at night, sailor's delight. Red sky in the morning, sailors take warning.
So we can expect a sailor's delight tomorrow? That's awesome! You're such an optimist, big guy. We must have walked a few miles today. Gorgeous sights. You could even see snow on the tips of the mountains.
That rumble sounded like a dying calf. You look from person to person, trying to determine who it was. It was definitely Mariah.
Mariah, I'd recognize that sound from anywhere. Gah!
Guilty. Mariah looks embarrassed, but the group laughs at her honesty. Except for you. You search your mind for something to say, but all you can think of is an old riddle. Ahem. Those who have it do not want it. Those who have it least succeed. Those who have it for too long perish. When you feed it, it gets smaller. What am I?
Dust? Try again, big guy.
Everyone is pondering the answer. Mariah's face lights up. I got it. Is it hunger?
Correct. Yeah, I was going to guess that. So, what's on the menu tonight, chef?
Bread and jam. You crush the berries in your small mortar and pestle, spreading it onto some crusty bread. You cooked raspberry jam and bread. So I was expecting, because we didn't get the extra emergency supplies out of the bedroom, there might have been like another meal thrown in between before we got to this point, but we seem to be following along with the three main meals that we've set so far.
The bread's a little tough.
Rager, don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
But this homemade jam is to die for, haha. Sorry.
No, you're right, Gregor. This bread stinks.
Mariah.
Everybody laughs. You're not sure this could be called a meal, but it got the job done. Everyone thanks you for dinner and heads off to sleep. You go to bed wishing you had more. You have a strange dream. Something is riding on your back, and it's becoming a nuisance. You try to see it in the mirror, but you can't get a good look at it. You try almost everything, but it won't get off. The pain between your shoulder blades is getting worse by the minute. You wander away from the cabin, stumbling by river to soak your pain in cool water. You didn't want things to come to this, but you've exhausted all other options. You swim out to the middle. Rocks on the bottom cut your feet, and you slip and fall to your knees. You lean back, trying to submerge the thing underneath the waters. But it won't drown, it won't drown, it won't drown. You splash frantically, plunging your head beneath the water. The current takes you downstream. You try swimming to the shore, but it's no use. Water fills your mouth and nostrils. After a minute, you stop struggling against the current. As you gaze up at the sky, you feel it leaving your back, drifting into the sky as you sink into the bottom. As you take your last gasp, you see what was on your back staring into your eyes. But you don't even have the air in your lungs to scream. You wake in a cold sweat. Okay, didn't get me that time. I was expecting it. But also, so far we're following along with the same dream pattern too. So I wonder if that will change if we talk to Natalie again.
Wake up! Sorry, you were making strange noises in your sleep.
What's going on, Gregor? Did the lightning wake you up?
It woke me up. Tried to fall back asleep, but it's so loud. Ugh. Let's just get back to sleep and talk about this in the morning.
Everyone nods in agreement and gets back to bed. Except for you. You can't fall back asleep. You still have goosebumps from the nightmare. Huh. Karen's snoring is louder than a sawmill. You find it very loud and very distracting. You don't sleep a wink. Everyone is now up and awake in the cabin. You hear the front door open and quickly slam shut. And Natalie sounds petrified.
I looked out the door and we're completely surrounded by floodwaters. Looks like the sailors take warning was more appropriate for today.
Maybe it'll clear up tomorrow.
You can't steal big guy's optimism, Karen.
Why the hell not?
That's all he has going for him. Ick! He's also good at chopping wood, though. Ha 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 ha. Knock it off, you two. Mariah, do you think it'll clear up tomorrow?
I gave it a 27% chance of clearing up tomorrow.
Based on what?
I was bored stiff, so I read a book on the local precipitation levels for the last 20 years in the living room.
Sounds like you're stealing a Natalie's thunder. And Natalie, you're a book nerd, right? Why didn't you read it? Couldn't make it past the cover. Is that right? Yes.
That bookshelf has some great books on artists and crafting and natural sciences. Why let them sit there gathering dust?
How did you arrive at a 27% chance of clearing up tomorrow?
It's easy. Take the time of year, multiply it by a factor of. Mariah begins to explain meteorology to you. She isn't dumbing any of this down. It's similar to blah, 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 where. So the first thing you need to understand. Minutes of explanation feel like hours. You look over at Natalie. He's listening intently to Mariah. So intently, he hasn't blinked yet. You can see his eyes drying up. A tear rolls down one of his cheeks. This is brutal to watch. Mariah finally wraps up her lecture. She ends with a bow. Nobody claps. Tough crowd.
Mariah, that was awe-inspiring. You lost me a few minutes in, but it's okay. I didn't understand a word of it, ha ha ha. Grr.
And Natalie turns to you.
Anyway, there's no telling how long this will last. We can't leave the cabin until these floodwaters stop. I know our food situation is a little tight, but I know you'll make the right decisions. I believe in you.
Me too.
It looks like we have enough leftover berries for more bread and raspberry jam. I'll pass on the jam, just give me more crusty bread.
Everyone laughs. Except for you. With everyone stranded in the cabin, you need to keep everyone fed and happy. You sneak out to the kitchen while everyone's talking. You get out some crusty bread and get to work on making some more jam. With the kitchen to yourself, you decide to check in on the Chompettes.
Hello.
Hello! Don't worry, as leader of the Chompettes, I'll make sure none of the humans know about us. That big guy would try eating me like an apple, so definitely don't tell him about us.
Ha ha ha! Are your plans going awry? Got another cornbread classic for you. Did you hear about the bread maker's bakery burning down? No? Her business is now toast.
That one Everyone's been done to death. Do you know how raspberry and milk were introduced? You tell her no.
Raspberry.
Raspberry milk shake. You let out an audible groan.
Did Cornbread teach you that one?
Nope, wasted an entire day thinking about that terrible pun. Ha ha ha! It was well worth the time and effort, Raspberry. Maybe you'll win the annual Chompette comedy competition this year?
Raspberry.
Of course.
Onion.
Not while I'm here.
I won't choke on stage this year.
Isn't that every year, Bread? We still talk about that closing line, Bread. You're going to do great this year. Anyways, don't even think of eating us if you're hungry. Chompettes stick together through thick and thin.
Raspberry.
Rain or shine.
Feast and famine.
Potato, I swear to God, repeat the line or we're locking you up again. Life or death. That's right. Chompettes, move out. The Chompettes somehow manage to close the drawer on themselves. You bring the crusty bread and jam into the living room. Karen interrupts you as you bring in the food. Took you long enough. Karen looks at the 2 slices of bread left and the mason jar of raspberry jam. There's mold on these last 2 slices of bread.
Karen is right.
What the hell is the matter with you? You grip the knife tightly in your hand. So at this point, we still have our knife. Cabbage said that eventually we gave it to Karen or she took it, but we still have this knife. I wonder, let's see if we can hold on to it. You think this is enough for 5 of us?
Wait. We can't throw this bread away. It's all we have left.
Gregor's right. And Natalie, will mold spores give us food poisoning?
I'm, no scientist. Sorry.
Let's pick off as much mold as we can. We can't leave with the flood water, so this will have to last us another day. Everyone grimly nods, ripping apart their piece like a pack of wolves. Gregor seems to unhinge his jaw and eat it in one bite. He looks like a duck eating bread. Thanks again. Bread and jam isn't much of a meal, but it's more than we had when we left Ukraine.
Plenty of rainwater outside, so at least we won't die of dehydration. But until the storm is over, nobody should leave the cabin. Should clear up if we give it a chance.
And Natalie, where are you getting that information from?
One of the books on the bookshelf about the climate here.
You're illiterate, so that's definitely a lie.
Eck! I've seen him reading. Little guy's been studying.
I'm serious. He pretends to read those books because he wants us to think that he's smart, but I can tell he's just staring at the page, faking it.
What do you think?
Yeah, so we found that last time, and Natalie can't read. And Natalie doesn't know his weather conditions from a hole in the ground. Karen is correct.
Yeah.
Ha! You're funny.
I.
Keep pretending with those books, Natalie. Brutal, Karen. I found an old picture book in the living room, Natalie. Let me know if you want it, small fry.
Karen.
Karen smiles at you.
I guess let's call it a day.
Yeah. Sure. Everyone shuffles off to their sleeping areas. 6 minutes later. I'm glad you called out Natalie's bluff. You continue to impress. It's a shame Natalie is sleeping in the same bedroom. I should have never let him be the one to share with me. But what if it was just me and you? I'm sure we could study and squeeze a few novels in before bed. You nod. No, I really don't like you, Kieran. I really don't. Well, we'll have to see if we can kick him out at some point, right? Oh, you'll have to tell me about that, anatomization book on the bookshelf. Really cool pictures in there. She's already a psycho. Karen looks like she has a crush on you. I wish she didn't. Let me know if you're ever free for a lesson. Okay. Karen walks away looking very happy. You are definitely sure Karen will remember that. Yeah, your relationship is stronger. You get ready for bed and put a blanket on. You go to sleep very hungry. You don't dream the entire night, but you sleep through everyone waking up. And that's how fast a deer could run if startled.
Whoa.
Incredible. Impressive. I wish we had a deer here. The food getting lower. Let's just skip today's meal. Tch.
No.
It's only for one day. Various cultures and religions have practiced fasting throughout history. That doesn't make us feel any better, Natalie.
What options do we have? Our food wasn't rationed properly.
And Natalie leaves, mumbling to himself. So passive-aggressive of him. Everyone goes to a separate area. Karen in the bedroom, Gregor in the living room, Mariah in the kitchen, and a Natalie in the bathroom. Who do you want to speak to? I hate it. I hate to do this. We're gonna go talk to Karen. When did she get the knife? Looks like she's just slicing away at a block of wood. Hey. Can I let you in on a secret? Please do. I've actually enjoyed your cooking so far. The others expect me to be rude and mean. So I have to keep that reputation up, right? Can't have anyone thinking I'm soft. You're not sure where this is coming from. Promise me you'll give me some cooking lessons soon. Okay. She's not ready yet, but you nod politely. It's as if I, as this entity character living in the cabin, it's as if I'm going to take on an apprentice to carry on my quote-unquote work. Thank you. You're definitely sure Karen will remember that. All right, I hate it. We're on the Karen train. Which makes me feel like maybe I should have gone back to the beginning to pick the same thing, so we would have had 4 hearts by now, but maybe we can still get the last 2. And then get whatever extra special dialogue options we can find. You leave Karen by herself. Everyone looks pretty down this evening. Wish the rain would just stop.
You're all doing great. We must be almost to the end of this nightmare. I'm so hungry.
Me too. You are too. You wish everyone a good night and get ready for bed. You go to bed with a growling stomach. You have a strange dream. A boy is yelling at you in the kitchen. You keep telling him to lie down on the tray, but he keeps shaking his head, calling you names. So you do it. You lie down on the tray and make your body as flat as a board. You show him how it's done. His anger turns to courage, and he pushes you into the oven. As the stench of burning hair fills your lungs, you see him sneering back at you. You wake in a cold sweat. Okay, so this is interesting because I thought, so in the previous playthrough, when I chose to speak with a Natalie in the bathroom and you said, oh, it was your favorite meal that you liked to make. And I thought I'd be like a funny haha joke and say children because of Hansel and Gretel. And he took offense to that. Did not think it was a joke, a very funny joke anyway. So I thought by picking that decision, that prompted that specific dream sequence to happen, but it looks like that the dreams that we get in that succession, they happen regardless. But it would have been definitely would have been, very maybe too in-depth or too detailed or too complicated to have different dreams play out based on the conversations that you have with the different characters. But that was the impression I got the first time around, but now I'm seeing it's just a natural sequence of events. Everyone seems to be sleeping in later than normal. Their stomachs must have kept them awake all night. The rain is still pouring outside. You can barely make out the trees from the windows. You hear a stirring of blankets, arms, and legs. Mariah looks petrified. I couldn't sleep. And Natalie has bags under his eyes.
This storm is too loud.
Karen looks out of it.
The cabin was creaking so much last night. It sounded alive.
And that's another theory I had, is if maybe I am possessed by the ghost of this cabin, or the cabin itself. The saying, oh, if the walls could talk. I think there's something to that in a physical sense, where I'm being possessed or consumed by the emotions of past events. That makes sense in my head. I'm not sure if I'm conveying it properly verbally. I have to stop. There's so much more to still explore and figure out and piece together, and I'm still very early on in my playthrough of this full experience of this game.
It sounded alive.
Gregor looks a little gaunt.
I got a good look out the window.
And?
Couldn't see anything due to the rain.
Great observation, Gregor.
I was so hungry last night. I kept pacing around my bed.
But if I'm remembering correctly, there were extra emergency supplies in the bedroom, and they have not been brought to the forefront yet. Karen turns to you.
When is this going to end? I checked outside the door again. Floodwaters keep rising. Unfortunately, we're going to need to stay put unless one of us wants to drown in rainwater. As soon as the weather lets up, we'll be able to scavenge for supplies.
How close is the nearest town? Apparently not close enough if you could have been going there all along, which also, maybe they didn't go to the town because they couldn't go to the town because they've been exiled. And that's why they wound up here at my cabin.
I don't know.
Didn't you have a map on you?
I think I dropped it while we were running after Gregor. I'm sure it'll show up eventually. Ha 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 ha.
Mariah and Natalie go white as a sheet. How are we going to find our way back now? As if to imply if they've been exiled from their communities, that they would have been allowed to go back.
We'll have to ride out the storm.
Mariah looks at you. We're down to our last slice of bread. I don't know how much longer we can put off eating. The group stares at you.
It will clear up in no time. Maybe you're right.
The group looks worried. They all gravitate to an area. Again, these people came wandering into my cabin expecting me to be the perfect blend of Gordon Ramsay and Bear Grylls. And because I'm not meeting those expectations, they're upset with me. Well, excuse you. Excuse you. This is my house. You can leave. You can tell Gregor's putting on fake optimism and Mariah is having trouble. Which one do you want to speak with today? Okay, so I spoke with Mariah. I'm gonna go converse with Gregor. I think out of the first playthrough, I had the least interaction with him.
Oh, hey. I know you already searched the kitchen, but I had to double check.
A fool's errand.
I wish everyone was in better spirits. It can't rain forever, right?
Rainfall in this area can last days to weeks. You tell Gregor to stay strong.
You know what? Thank you. The group is really thankful for your kindness.
Gregor blushes a little bit.
I always wanted to be the one that kept everyone in good spirits. But it's obvious you do that much better.
Gregor is looking at you fondly. You're sure Gregor will remember that. So our relationship has grown stronger. Now I'm thinking, if they were scared of me when they first got here, and they were appeasing me or putting me in a leadership position, not because they saw me as a leader, but because they feared me, are we now are our characters here experiencing Stockholm Syndrome? Because it sounds like they can't leave until, I mean, they can't leave because of the rain, but they also can't leave until they accomplish something, or I give them permission to, is the feeling that I'm getting. The rain is pounding hard against the wooden cabin. But at least none of it is getting inside, which is good. I was worried about that the first time around. You tell Gregor to keep his spirits up and join the others. You call everyone together. They all look grim. You could cut the tension in the room with a knife. Give it back, Karen. I don't know how you got it, but that's my knife. Give it back. Everyone is staring at you. They're expecting that last piece of bread for dinner. You bring it out. Everyone cannot take their eyes off it. You instruct everyone to take a pinch. And slowly, all 5 of you tear it apart like a wishbone. Everyone studies their piece of bread carefully, wondering how long it will last. Karen is the first to eat hers. She chews each bite a few hundred times before swallowing, and it's super weird that we counted. And Natalie chews it cautiously, opening his mouth once he finishes each bite. Mariah nibbles on it silently, eyes wide, moving from person to person. And Gregor just pops it into his mouth like a cherry. It was gone in an instant, The group thanks you awkwardly. It's not much. But you've run out of options. You wish everyone good night and get ready for bed. You go to bed starving.
Good morning.
Morning.
Let me check if the rain has stopped. It's still flooding.
Gregor looks shocked. I'm still so curious about this little fuzzy friend on Annihila's shoulder. He looks indifferent. Mariah just looks like she's done with everyone's BS, and she's like, yes, of course it's still raining. Of course. Why, what else, you know? Murphy's Law, am I right? Karen looks scared. She came off like a psychopath wanting to be a psychopath's apprentice, so to speak, but she understands the reality of what's about to happen, I think, more so than the other three characters. And I think the fact that she's coming to these conclusions first out of all the other three means she's already definitely considered it. Or she has that, I'm trying to find the right phrasing for it to convey my thoughts. But she's already developed that last resort mentality. And these three comparatively are still innocent, thinking, okay, we can work this out. Things are going to be okay. We'll find a way out. But she's already accepted the worst possible outcome as the only outcome. And I think that's why she looks scared here while the others look, you know, in disbelief or indifferent. What are we going to do?
Humans can live about 2 to 3 weeks without food.
And I was thinking about this also. You can live about 2 to 3 weeks without food, but only 3 days without water because water is so important. But when you first hear that, you feel like you're under the assumption that your body would still function normally. You would feel hungry, but you could still get things done, but you just get gradually weaker and weaker and weaker. So sure, you can live, but you can't really do anything. You can't move.
Water isn't a concern. Rainfall should end in a day or two, right?
Actually, precipitation can occur more than 215 days a year here.
But do you really think it will rain that long?
Natalie,
it's been days already. What makes you think it will stop soon? Relax, everyone. Let's see how long we can ride this out. Fingers crossed it's done by tomorrow.
No, Gregor. No, your problem is you're way too optimistic. You're way too much of a mediator. I need you all to start coming up with solutions, okay? Let's brainstorm real quick. It's raining. When we look outside in a later cutscene, we will see that we've got a little bit of a front yard. There are plenty of trees. You're telling me we can't find a bird? Definitely insects. You know, frogs, lizards, snakes. All of that stuff is out there. Don't you dare say we can't be coming up with something to do right now. We can make some kind of trap. Can trap meat if they're just like any squirrels or things running around. I still don't know what this creature on Annihila's shoulder is, like a little rabbit chipmunk. We could be making nets. You know, what debris is floating in the water. We can make a raft. If Gregor's been chopping wood, we've got an axe somewhere. Let's make a raft. Let's make a floaty. Let's figure things out, okay? All of you here are just sitting, you're just taking up space. You're not offering solutions. And that's what frustrates me about this game the most is I'm thinking these characters came here. They knew they were going to die, or they came here as a last resort. They just upset me so much. Panic is slowly creeping in. Everyone's looking scared. But you need to survive. Karen and Gregor begin to discuss next options. Do you want to speak with Mariah in the kitchen? Or Natalie in the living room? I don't know if I want to talk to Natalie. I think what I'm going to do is think instead about everything you've done wrong and how you've doomed everyone. I still think it's not solely my fault, but also, as Mariah said, oh, it rains that 215 days out of the year up here. If I've lived here long enough, I should know that, and I should have a flood plan. I should have a flood plan for the floodplains, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to do a bit of self-reflection and see what that does to my sanity or my character. Could you have rationed the supplies better? You crunch the numbers one more time. You could have reduced the amount of vegetables used in the stew. But it was their first day. You had to impress them. Why? I'm not running a bed and breakfast here. Was there anything you could have done differently? Probably not. Mariah, and Natalie, Gregor, Karen. You wonder if they're upset with you. Gregor calls the group over for a meeting.
I don't think any of us can take this much longer.
Gregor's voice starts to crack.
I don't want to ask this, but it's time. One of us needs to go outside and search for food.
Everyone is silent, but if you all work together, I've already come up with multitude of solutions for us to get through this. But all of you are just above that, aren't you? If I could leave the cabin first, I would have. Everyone is silent. I'll go.
Mariah!
I used to swim all the time near my house, so I probably have the best chance of swimming through the floodwaters.
No. Let me go instead. You won't get very far if anything happens to your glasses, Natalie.
You're blind as a mole rat, remember?
That's true, but... Little guy, let me go.
Gregor, sounds good to me. Karen. His arms are definitely the longest, so he'd probably be the best at climbing trees out of all of us. No, that wouldn't be right, Gregor. Let me go instead.
I get that none of these options are good ones, but we need to find food or help.
Gregor grabs a branch from the woodpile. And I'm going to end this video of Cooking Companions here. I've been recording for quite a while now. Much longer than I thought I would, but I just got so immersed in the story once again. I just kept playing without realizing how much time had passed by. Thank you so much for joining me. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I hope to see you next time. Bye!